Hey dudes, I am just giving you a message today about, I just finished a sort of solo, I call it a vision quest, but it's not really a vision quest, but an isolation experiment where I go into the bush for 3 days, don't eat, in nature, separate myself from humans and food and technology in particular. So I want to share why I do it and why you should do it too, because initially whenever I tell someone I'm going to do this, people are like, why the fuck would you do that? Let me tell you why. First of all, the reason why I did it this time, and I used to do it quite regularly in Central Australia, I haven't done it for maybe a year and a half, I was feeling just off, anxious, scattered. You know, when I'm feeling off, I tend to eat lots of shit food. I don't sort of have control over my food cravings. Like, I'm not even hungry, I'm just like shoveling food in. I feel this mix of boredom, like I'm bored yet I'm super anxious that I need to do something. I'm just feeling scattered. And I meditate a lot, I do exercise a lot, all these sorts of things, and none of that was really working. So I just know that that's my time to go to the bush. Now this is why the average person, when we're feeling shit, we tend to want to do something pleasurable to solve the problem. So you go to your addictions, whatever your addictions are. For dudes, it's going to be, well, for everyone really, but it's food, alcohol, drugs, sex, porn, I don't know. Take your pick. You might use one, two, or all five, all of them. But we're going to go to something that feels good to try and solve inside us something that feels bad, right? Whether anxiety, depression, lots of anger, whatever it is. Which sort of makes sense. You just want to stop feeling bad, so you go to something that feels good. Why I'm doing this video is to promote to you a different way of looking at it. That is, for you to go do something like this, 3 days in the bush with nothing, you don't feel good at all. You feel bored. You feel really uncomfortable. You're fucking hungry. Like, it doesn't feel good at any point. But the only reason you would do that is if I've felt shit for a month, 2 months, 3 months, some people feel anxious for years, it becomes normal for them, and the drugs aren't working anymore. Whatever it is you're taking isn't working anymore. And when that's the case, you're trying the things that feel pleasurable normally, and they're not working, you still feel anxious during it or after it, whatever, then you know it's time to maybe consider doing something that feels bad or uncomfortable to try and make yourself feel good. That's a strong why to come from. When you get to the point of, I'm fucking sick of feeling shit or scattered or whatever, which a lot of people are right now during coronavirus, because I'm asking people, because I've been feeling way off and I do a lot of work on myself, consider something like this. Now, I'll give you the what and the how now, because the most important thing is the why, because no one is going to go into discomfort unless they know why they do it. And all you can do is just trust me that it's going to work. And you might feel no different, but to go 3 days in the bush with no one else around, no phone, no food, you can't help but have some learnings about yourself. The emotional shit that you've been trying to suppress with food starts to rise to the surface, and it starts to solve itself. And something about nature lets it sort of clear out. From this last time, I hadn't done it for a year and a half. I even finished the 3 days. First of all, I failed in the fast because my discipline wasn't good enough. I had food in the car, which I had to go up to. I had a tin of soup in there, so I ate the tin of soup. So I failed in the fast, but otherwise I didn't eat. And when I finished the 3 days, I was like, I don't feel any better. I was still pretty sleepy. I hadn't slept very well. It was fucking cold. Right, so I'm back at the van, having a celebratory beef stock pot and milk powder coffee. And I'm absolutely fucked, actually. The walk up is really challenging. I wouldn't recommend doing this with a big walk or exercise involved. And I've done it once, twice, 3, 4 times, up and down twice. It's probably 6Ks, very steep 6Ks. Probably should have stayed here in the end, but I kind of like the idea of going into the bush with everything. And do I feel any clearer? Not really, but I tell you what, I'm more grateful for some food, and I think over the next couple of days we'll start to see what happens if I feel better about it. But for the next 2 days at home, I felt like I was on MDMA, drip-fed MDMA. Like, I just felt a euphoria, clarity, and I was just giggling at myself at how fucking grateful I am for the life I've got right now. Now, I'm not sure if it was the fasting. I'm not sure if it was the time in nature alone. I'm not sure if it was isolation from my phone, what it was exactly, but I know I just felt good, and it has in the past always made me feel good. So what exactly I did, I basically, and I know this from doing time in Central Australia, I know I want to be, about an hour away from home. So it's a pretty serious rigmarole if I get bored in the middle of the night, or sometimes get the spooks in the middle of the night in the bush. It's a big deal to get back home. So you want to make a big deal to get back home so that you stay out there, because naturally your brain starts to play tricks on you. Ideally you want somewhere in nature where no other humans are going to be. A bit harder around the cities here. Central Australia's easier, so I just searched through Google campsites. I looked for one that looked fairly remote, found one, and I just went and checked it out. And as far as the fasting goes, what I used to do is fast with fruit. And actually I would recommend that, because I try to do it now with water. Fruit is very quickly broken down in your body. And the thing about fasting is, I've got a lot of passion for fasting, even though it's a pain in the ass, it's uncomfortable. Let me tell you everything about the fasting. First of all, when we are shoveling so much food in our body all the time, way more than the average human you should ever have to eat, is your body's got to break all that shit down. It takes a lot of energy. And so you start to feel lethargic. In fact, I think unconsciously a lot of my emotional eating comes from me trying to hide from my emotions so that I'd feel too tired. But it's not a nice place to be. Something for me, whenever I do a fast, once you get past that second hump day when you get really hungry, the hunger goes away, and that third day you get like a euphoria. Now there's talks about ketosis and things where your body starts to burn fat, but I'm eating apples and stuff which are high sugar, and I still get that euphoria. I believe it's about when you get rid of the shit in your system, your body's no longer having to break down so much food, it starts to be able to heal your body and start to work on your emotions. So Mahatma Gandhi said that, his quote was, fasting is the deepest form of prayer, or something to that effect. What I get from that is, he fasted for 23 days at times. He used to fast when the Hindus and Muslims would fight, and during his time in power, they were sort of killing each other. He said, I'm not going to eat until you stop fucking killing the Muslims, or vice versa. So I think it went 23 days or longer was his longest fast. For you to fast even for a day or 3 days, you've got to be very clear in why you're doing it, because naturally our body wants food, plus emotionally our body often is driven towards food. So for you to go a few days without food, you're very clear in your intention. And the intention has to be, even if you're not sure how you want to feel, I don't want to fucking feel shit. I just want to try some way of not feeling shit, if it's scattered, anxious, depressed, whatever you're going through. That's the intention behind it. Because without a strong intention, you're not going to go in the bush and do 3 days of boredom either. So the strong intention, the why, is really important. From there, if you just take one type of fruit, say apples or just oranges, take 30 apples or oranges, just one, ideally, because your body doesn't have different acids and shit. Just have one food, your body's used that one food, breaking it down. After 6 apples in a day, or fucking 6 oranges a day, you're not hungry for oranges anymore. Like, you start to realize, one, holy shit, I'm not really hungry because I'm getting food. I'm craving something that's not food, and craving texture, and it's actually emotional shit often. So when you get to realize your emotions start to sort of come up. So that would be the easy way to do it. Take a lot of water, take a lot of food, tell people where you're going, put a pin in the map and say, if you don't hear from me 3 days, come searching for me. But you want to be away from technology, because once you get uncomfortable and bored, your brain starts to play tricks on you. You want to look on YouTube, you want to start getting on social media or whatever, which is just an addiction. It's just a dopamine release in your brain, because your dopamine receptors are being fucking cut because you've always got addictions on hand. So you're going to feel really fucking bored. You're going to feel hungry. It's really uncomfortable, but you're doing it with intention that I don't mind feeling uncomfortable. Just if you can done to do 3 days, just do 24 hours or 2 days if you can. But if you can go somewhere in nature where it's quiet and there's no other humans and you've just got to sit. I just sat fucking looking at the fire for hours, tending to my fire. I did some breath work. I took some books. I did a bit of reading, but often I just sat there, thought of stillness. And I wanted to just fucking go get in the car and drive home, but I knew that if I can just sit through another day, and I'd made a commitment to the boys that I was going to do it. If you quit halfway through, you quit halfway through. But what I'm offering to you is a different way of looking at emotional discomfort, mental health, whatever, is not to look for pleasurable things, your addictions, to solve the problem. If they solve the problem, great. It's great, but often they're not solving the problem. You'll know because you're still feeling the same fucking thing and the addictions aren't solving it. Consider getting uncomfortable to solve it. And then that's why I call my business Extreme Stillness. Now, this particular 3-day fast isn't really extreme. You're not doing crazy exercise or anything, but it's different to the way the average person thinks about trying to solve emotional problems. We try and feel good to drown it out, that is possible. I'm just offering another way. Consider getting uncomfortable and see how you come out of the bush, out of that nature, out of stillness, how you feel 2 days later. Because for me, my purpose is back, my passion is back, I feel fucking alive. And that's why I'm making the video, because I believe it can work for everyone. And for me, it's still if I'm feeling shit, it's the best way to get me clear again. I don't enjoy the time in the bush, but I like the way I feel afterwards. So I know that's a long video. If you are interested in this, send me a message. I'll send you some more details on a way you can do it safely and easily for your first time. Thanks, homies. Have lots of fun. I hope if you're feeling shit, you try something different. Try something. Just fucking don't settle for feeling shit. Try something to feel better. As I say, I just want to give people an option as for different things to attempt. If you're feeling real shit for a lot of months in a row, it's time to break out of that cycle into something extreme or different. Extreme for you. Something that's different for you. So just drive out to the bush, stay right next to your car without food for a day or a night. Just be in nature without your phone and see what happens. That's my recommendation. Just as a way to reset the brain. If nothing happens, well, it's just a day, 2 days of boredom. You'll learn something about yourself. You can't learn nothing about yourself coming out here and just sitting in stillness for long enough. So give it a go.